Good morning everyone. Welcome to 27th lecture of VLSI Interconnects course. We are currently in the fourth module where we are discussing coupled interconnect. So far in this course, in this module, we have seen coupled interconnects, capacitive coupled interconnects, and RLC interconnects, coupled RLC interconnects, which where we included the inductive coupling as well as capacitive coupling in our model. We have also seen how we can represent these coupled equations in terms of matrices, and that simplifies our representation of the equations and handling of the equations a lot more easier. In the case of identical interconnects, we had shown that we can analyze these interconnects. We can decouple these interconnects by defining two voltages, common mode and differential mode. That is called the common mode and differential. In some reference, it is also called even mode and odd mode. More importantly, towards the end of the previous lecture, we saw that decoupling of equations was equivalent to diagonalization of your matrix. There was a matrix which was characterizing the coupling, and if we diagonalize that matrix, it was equivalent to decoupling of those equations. So in this lecture, we will spend some time on the general procedure of diagonalization and hence for decoupling of interconnect. So we will be starting with some abstract matrix A, and then we will be looking at how we would be diagonalizing that matrix, which will result in decoupling of my. So to start with, as I said, what we know so far is that if we want to decouple our equations, that is equivalent to diagonalization of my matrix. So these two processes are equivalent. What it means is basically that if I have some operation on this, say P, if I have a matrix like this, and now V is a matrix, so this is V1, V2, and going on N general. I can have all the coupling represented in the form of a matrix, and that is given by some terms. All these terms, all these non-diagonal terms would be corresponding to the coupling term, because I will have here P1, 2, and so on. So all these non-diagonal terms would be contributing to the coupling. These are the non-diagonal terms are my coupling terms. Now what I want is that I want to form a procedure where I could transform or say define new sets of voltages, which would give me a matrix which is strictly diagonal. Then that is equivalent to having no coupling in those new defined set of voltages, because only the diagonal terms will be there. So you could just write those independent equations, and one term will not have contribution of. Right, so we'll look at that process in general. Before we start, let us clarify a few things. So for example, the nature of this coupling matrix can be different. So for example, I can have a matrix where there is LC. Suppose R is negligibly 0. In that case, I will just have an LC matrix, and in that case my LC would have to be diagonalized. In case where the inductive effects are negligibly small or not there, in that case we just have RC matrix, and we have seen that an RC coupled interconnect. In that case we will just have RC matrix, and we would be required to diagonalize only this. But in general, if you have an equation like this, the question is, what should I diagonalize? If I have an equation like this, should I diagonalize LC or should I diagonalize RC? because the transformation matrix that will diagonalize my LC and RC might not be the same. So the answer is that you need to diagonalize the final equation form which you will be able to solve. So if you are diagonalizing LC or RC, you are still not able to solve it because this is in there is a time derivative here. What you should be doing is that you should be replacing this to the final form, which will help you. Which will help you. You should write this as something like gamma square matrix, and then if I have a form like this, I am able to solve it. Now, if this is not a decoupled matrix, I will have off diagonal terms in gamma here as well. Now, what is gamma? We have seen in the previous lecture, we had when we saw the matrix formulation for our LC interconnects. In that case, we saw that I can write this in the form of a matrix, and then my coupled differential equation which I need to solve is this. For the case of an individual single interconnect, we did not have matrix, we just had a simple gamma square. So it's similar here. What I have here is, what is this gamma square? Gamma square is a matrix like this, which comes from the LC matrix, RC matrix multiplied this multiplied by minus omega square, this term multiplied by j omega square. So this is my in general a complex matrix which diagonal. So what I want, what I have is I have these terms. So for example, my V2 or say V1 would be given by what? V1 would be given by this plus this multiplied by this, and then this added here. So we also adding up. Then another term would be multiplied by here, and then that would also be adding up. So my V1 would be a function of V2 going on all the way till Vn in general, depending on wherever this is non-zero. So that is the problem of coupling which we want to solve. So we had seen that if we had just the diagonal terms here, in that case my V1 is just function of V1, V2 depends on V2, and then I can just simply couple these equations. So what I want to do then is that I want to transform V to V to V tilde. So I need to have a transformation such as my V tilde is given by some matrix which transformation matrix T, which operates on V to give me V tilde. And for a case of identical interconnects, we had seen what this T matrix is. We had seen what this T matrix is, and for identical interconnects, we had seen that my V tilde can be defined as V common mode and V difference mode. Right. So what we want, if we have this, I can also write my V as T inverse to V tilde. Right. I can very simply write like this. So basically, what if I substitute this V in my expression here, what I will be getting is that a differential equation in terms of V tilde, and that is given by this. Now this transformation helps me only if my gamma tilde square matrix, this is a diagonal matrix. So I want this is the must condition for me, that this has to be a diagonal matrix. Otherwise, there is no point of this transformation. If this is a diagonal matrix, then all the new voltages which I have defined for defined by my column vector V tilde, they would all be decoupled. I can solve them independently as if there was like isolated interconnects, and then I can transform back the solution, transform solution back to the to my physical voltages to get the final expression and estimate of crosstalk, timing jitter, and other. So the question before us is that in general, if I have a matrix A and I want to diagonalize it, what should I do? Because depending on the differential equations, A can be RC if there is if just an RC interconnect, or if the resistance is near zero, then I can say that, or R inductive effect dominates, I can just write this by LC, or I can have something like this where it is gamma square, right? So depending on the differential equation, I can have these the final coupled matrix as RC, LC, or this. But in all these cases, before solving the final equation, what I will require is that for a given general matrix A, what would be my transformation V tilde, which is given as T into V, such that my T inverse, so basically this has to be diagonal, right? So this matrix has to be diagonal. And what is gamma tilde? So I can write my gamma tilde square as, if you substitute it here, I will get this as T into gamma square into 2T plus. So finally what I want is that my this matrix T into A into into T inverse should be a diagonal matrix. This should this should be diagonal. So this is the diagonalization or decomposition that I am interested in. So basically what I want is my T should be given. So let me rephrase the problem in terms of matrices alone. So if I am dealing with just with matrices, my question is, given A, what is T, because I also need the transformation matrix, and what is my D, diagonal matrix, because I need to solve these terms, this lambda 1 to lambda n that would give me the coefficient of my differential equation, which I will solve and finally get the result for decoupled interconnect. So the question is, what is my T and D if A is given to you? So this diagonalization is covered in a linear algebra course, but I am going through it because it might not be done by all the students, and we will require it for solving our interconnect. So I'm in the next part of this lecture, I am going to discuss a procedure which will help us find out what is T and D for given A, which will result in a diagonal matrix. So if I have this expression, I can write this as I can bring this T in side. I can pre-multiply this equation by T inverse to get this equation. Now just for the sake of simplicity, so what I have is T inverse into D. T inverse operating on D is equal to A into T inverse. I don't want to keep handling T inverse again and again. So I just for the sake of simplicity, I define a new matrix P. Let me clarify, this is just for the sake of simplicity. Let me define inverse as matrix P. And now what I have is P into D is equal to A into P, or I can just write it. So let this be 3 and then let this be 4. This equation are same actually. So if I have this, now P is some matrix. I don't know its form, but what I know is that it has to follow this equation, and I also have a constraint that my D is diagonal. Right, so this is my constraint. So now let me represent this P. This is a P matrix which is n cross n as a block matrix with its columns given by alpha i's. So my alpha i's are column vectors. The dimension is n cross 1, and I have n such column vectors to form my P. In other words, what I am saying is that my in general P is given by this. This is n cross n. So I would call this as my alpha I. Sorry, this I can call as alpha 1. This I can call as alpha 2, and similarly somewhere in between I can call it as alpha I, and this I can call as. So I can just stack all of these column vectors to form my matrix. This is again. So now if I so this is my equation 5. Now if I substitute equation 5 in equation 4, I can write this in like this, where my P I have represented in terms of alpha i's. All this I get this from 4 and 5. I get this. Now note that how am I imposing the constraint that my D is diagonal? I am assuming this form. I don't know what are lambdas yet. I don't know what is lambda 1 to lambda n. But what I know is that this is diagonal. This is diagonal. Now if you look at how the matrix multiplication works, I can also write this multiplication of two matrices, multiplication as assembly of the multiplication of these block matrices. So basically I can have A into this alpha 1, then that is stacked with A into alpha 2, A into alpha I, A into alpha n, going up till A into alpha n. So just check it, cross check it for yourself, that if I multiply some matrix A with this, I could be the way this operation works, I can be simply be writing this as the block matrix of these, right? And similarly here, if I multiply here, so basically just to show you, this was some P11 was P21 going on till Pn1, and this was P12 uh, sorry, 1 to n2, Pn2, and so on. So if I just multiply this by lambda, all these other terms are 0. I will get P11 into lambda 1 is my first entry, and then all other terms for the first, all other multiplication and additions would be 0. Similarly for the second entry, I will get simply P12 into lambda 1 again multiplied here, and then irrespective of this other elements of this second row, I will get only P. So my second row would be P. The first entry of my second row would be P12 into lambda 1. So if I do this, I can also write this as a multiplication like here. Should validate and get comfortable with this notation, right? So I can write this as multiplication in, or in general I can write it in a more compact way as, I think this is 7, a into alpha I is equal to lambda I to alpha I. What are alpha i's? Alpha i's are column vectors. Right? And so does this look familiar? I hope this looks familiar to you. This is the familiar eigenvalue equation. So basically A would be operating on a vector alpha I, and that would result in the same vector alpha I multiplied by a constant lambda I, and this would be there for all i's going from 1 to. So we will have basically n such, or say n solutions to this. So this is the basically eigenvalue equation. And what now you want to, what do you want to find out? Find what was unknown. The transformation matrix was unknown, T was unknown, so P was unknown, and my diagonal matrix or say the entries of my diagonal matrix were unknown, so lambda i's were unknown. So my lambda I was unknown and alpha I is unknown. What is known is only A. So for A, we know that we can get basically we can solve this eigenvalue equation and get lambda i's and alpha i's. So basically the diagonalization of so diagonal elements lambda i's are the eigenvalues of my matrix A, right? And the column vectors of alpha I are the corresponding eigenvectors. So my problem is now simplified. What I had was I had coupled equations which I got from my geometry and the physical values of my interconnect parameters and coupling parameters. Then I wanted to decouple those equations. So what I was looking for was diagonalization of that matrix. I represent these equations in. And now the problem has simplified to computing of eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So for given A, which is the coupling coupled equation, so for here I have A. I want to diagonalize this, so I want to get it in the form of T into T inverse, and then that is equivalent to finding lambda i's. So let us get back to solving this equation. So this is covered in undergraduate level maths, that given a matrix, find its eigenvalues and eigenvectors. But I guess many of you might have forgotten how to do that. So I will very quickly describe how to do that. So I have this equation. This equation has to be true. So I can write this equation in here. So let this be the 8th equation, and so basically the only non-trivial solution here is when determinant is equal to 0. So when this is equal to determinant of this equation of this matrix is equal to 0, that is only non-trivial solution. Otherwise this is set. If this determinant is not equal to 0, in that case alpha, all components of alpha I has to be, which is not a case that we would consider here, because that's a trivial solution. So the basically what you do is that you want to find eigen values. So you find the roots of the equation determinant A minus lambda into I is equal to 0. So this is a simple solving determinant, and then once you compute this, you get your lambda i's, and also from that you get eigenvectors. You stack those eigenvectors to get the so basically the rows of your transformation matrix or inverse of transformation matrix are the eigenvectors, and then you get the transformation matrix as well as the diagonal matrix. So let me summarize the steps involved in analyzing coupled integral. So first is that you determine the governing equation and the coupling matrix. So you get something. First determine the governing equations and get the coupling matrix. Then once you have got this A, what you do is that you solve this equation. Determinant of A minus lambda I is the identity matrix of the appropriate size of A. If A is 2 cross 2, I is I2, and if A is 3 cross 3 or A is 5 cross 5, in that case this is an identity matrix of size 3 or 5 corresponding. So solve this, you will get some polynomial in lambda, and you solve that to get values of lambda i's. Once lambda i's are known, you can get you can stack those together to form the decoupled matrix, your decoupled matrix or the diagonal matrix, and that is one here. Then what you do is you compute the eigenvectors. So you compute eigenvectors for A corresponding to lambda I. So note that the order of stacking is important. So for example, you have alpha 1. So for example, you can have alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, and this can be your P matrix, right? And in that case, your diagonal matrix, your diagonal matrix in that case would be lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3. These are 0. Now if you change the order, alternatively what you can also have is that you can have this as instead of alpha 1 you can have alpha 2, alpha 1, alpha 3, but in that case your diagonal matrix would have entries of lambda 2, lambda 1, lambda 3. So it is important that you preserve this order. And then once you have this, you can arrange this thing as I have already mentioned to get your P matrix. So P matrix will be alpha 1, alpha 2, n, and from here you can get the P matrix which is P or T matrix. Right, so arrange the matrix to get the desired. Also note that I mean, if you recall your basic undergrad maths, the eigenvectors are not unique, because you can always multiply an eigenvector by a constant and it would still remain an eigenvector of the same matrix. So this is not unique, but as long as you are following the order of the eigenvalues and eigenvectors, and if you are taking care of this transformation, it will still be you will still be able to decouple your equations, and we will see with examples in the next lecture how we can get this. So for the remaining part of this lecture, what you should do is that using this analysis that we saw now, use it to find out the transformation matrix for two coupled identical interconnects. We have already seen what we get for identical interconnect. But without say having the knowledge of common mode and differential mode analysis, use the above derivation which we have seen to form a transformation matrix for two identical coupled interconnects, the matrices for which was given in the previous lecture, and then verify this, or say compare this with your common mode and differential mode analysis that we have already done. In the next lecture, we will take the case of three coupled interconnects and case of two non-identical interconnects and apply this method of diagonalization of matrix to decouple our interconnect equation. With that, I will stop here. We will meet in the next lecture. Good day.